Episode 97, Pints and Politics.
Yeah, baby. Back in action, man.
Yeah.
Seems like it's been a while. This irregularity is throwing my continents off, but, you know.
I've been traveling for 10 days, so I'm just happy to be back in Carolina.
Make sure you get your fiber while you're traveling.
Yeah.
You know, folks at our age, we use FiberCon.
Is that a new sponsor?
That's a joke. We're looking for new sponsors, vitamins, supplements. Anyway, welcome back. You can tell we've got a lot of pent-up humor. We're ready to unleash. So let's get after it. Folks, on this episode, again, thanks to our sponsor.
Comer Distributing.
Yeah, man.
Today's beer is Highland Brewing out of Asheville, Highland Haze.
It's an IPA. And it says
juicy and fresh.
whatever that means.
Drinkable, I like it.
Yeah, it's not too hoppy. I mean,
Yeah.
you can taste a little bit on the back end, but if you're not crazy about hoppy beer, but you want to try a hazy IPA, I would drink this. Highland Brewing, Highland Haze IPA. Again, thanks for Comer for sponsoring this episode. In this episode, we're going to talk about the special election to fill the late Senator Lindsey Graham's seat. We're also going to be talking about Weekend Review. That's going to be first up. And then in the last segment, we're going to give you all an update on a local York County issue that we talked about, that large transformational economic development project.
Octapharma.
Yep. So let's jump right in, man. Weekend Review, man. I saw you earlier this week.
In Chicago.
Yeah, man. So we talked about this last episode. We both attended the NCSL.
We're on two different task force, so we had to be there 2 days early.
Yep. And I'm on the Health Innovations Task Force. And folks, what this is it's folks who are focused on healthcare in their respective general assemblies. So this is a national organization that's made up of state-level members. So senators from North Carolina, senators and reps from South Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Idaho, South Dakota, like all over the country. And I was on the Health Innovations Task Force where we talked about a lot of rural health challenges, not just in South Carolina, but across the country. And so we bring some of those ideas together and those challenges, and we try to sort of workshop them out, right?
Yeah, you're working on, and what NCSL does is you have reps from every single state across the country. The speaker or the president assigns a member to the task force, depending on what the discussion is. With mine being tech and communications, we have ag, we have healthcare. There's many different ones. And then you get the model language, and NCSL employees actually propose that as national model policy.
Right. So NCSL has staff, has researchers, has attorneys that help craft some model language. And a lot of times it's language that maybe was passed in one state.
Yep.
And they're seeing the positive impacts that it's doing. And then they're educating other state leaders from around the country on, hey, if y'all are running into this, if this is a challenge in your state, you may want to look at. And so it's a good source of reference. It's a good education for all of us. We also talked about a little bit of AI and its impact in healthcare, but it seems like AI is going to impact everything that we're doing, right? I mean, just the use and the development and the innovation that's coming in tech, the impacts that it's on every industry, our economies, and then also how do we transfer and store all of that data, right? Because then you rely upon data centers, the public infrastructure, and all of those things. So just 2-day whirlwind of a lot of information. I know you were on, what was yours called?
So I was at the ALEC task force first, which is another group in Orlando, but that one focuses on state policy with each state, and they offer a model bill for all the other states. So I had 2 days of that, then to NCSL, and mine's tech and communications at NCSL. And we had those 2 days of the task force. Then we had the conference.
Yeah.
On top of that, which is other.
Like seminars, classroom style, legislative panels, things like that. And so it's sort of like, like if you're in an industry, I'm in construction, so we have a construction conference, an annual conference every year. And, depending on what are certain challenges affecting, our business, and a lot of times it's technology in, say, Caterpillar or John Deere equipment, those types of things. But it's just classroom style, seminar style, where you can basically just pick. whatever topics interest you. You can literally select your schedule on the app.
And I'll tell you, everything with data centers was
everything.
In
Energy,
conference.
AI, data center. It seemed like everything was packed, standing room only. And I got there late because I was on a phone call. I was like 5 minutes late. And there was a line at the door. And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, oh, fire hazard. We can't let any more folks in. Literally, as one person would leave, they will let another person in.
Lucky for me, a friend of mine that serves in Utah was hosting that panel. So I went up to him and handed him my AI, and I was like, hey, can you record this for me? And then I'll pick it up afterwards. I'm going to go to the child safety one.
Oh, yeah, nice. So, yeah, that was basically, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, got back out Wednesday. It's funny how life happens because you and I left Saturday. Weather was good, all that kind of stuff. A lot of folks from South Carolina were leaving Monday morning
and the weather
to get up there.
Horrible.
And the weather was just terrible. Tornado warnings in Chicago. It seemed like the Midwest. And so that Monday dinner that we sat down with some folks who actually had to experience that turbulent airplane ride.
And a lot of them didn't even come in until Tuesday.
Right. A lot of the logistical things that happened, folks getting redirected to Indianapolis. Some folks, just flew around the Chicago area for 3 hours until they almost ran out of fuel. Just anything and everything that you can imagine that happened to those folks on Monday, I sort of felt sorry for. I was like, hey, when I came here Saturday evening, I'm good.
I will say I learned a lesson. If you're going to Chicago, don't fly into O'Hare. It's an hour away.
Right. Yeah. What is it, Midway?
Midway is where they say.
Is the closer one?
No one ever told me that. I'm like, the airport's called Chicago International. Let me go there.
Yeah.
An hour.
I know.
At minimum.
And that's, folks, that's like an $80 cab ride.
Yeah.
And so thankfully, I had someone on my flight that was
Happened
working.
to be going to the same place.
Yep.
Yeah,
actually the same hotel, right? So we just split a cab. I was like, thank God.
And these conferences are not just legislators.
Oh,
so
no.
you have staff that goes as well. So, you've got people that are on your committee staff that were out there to learn. And
a lot of other stuff like vendors, folks who, so like in the healthcare innovation task force, we had folks like health insurance folks there. We had Philips, like folks who do medical equipment there and technology. We had folks who represent PBMs there. You know what I mean? Like it was everyone who, affected industries in healthcare and innovation were all there. And they don't sit at tables, but they'll sit in the back. And so they're just a resource. So like if there's a question from a legislator up front at a table, they'll say, hey, we got a Philips guy here who makes medical equipment. How does this impact? You know what I mean? So,
well, and they'll take meetings. So like I jumped up on one of the panels and afterwards after having some conversations, I had people wanting to grab me and talk to me.
Right.
So, I ended up having meetings with Google, with X, with, other industry professionals just on some of my concerns to say, hey, this is what we are doing.
What were some of the big sort of, the top 2 or 3 sort of topics that sort of dominated y'all's task force?
Data privacy.
Okay.
Data centers was not necessarily, evidently data centers is part of the ag and energy, or actually it's part of the ag committee because that's
because of the land
industry,
and then the energy draw of gotcha.
Environmental, ag and environmental. But we had data privacy was a huge one, protecting children online and chatbots. Those were the 3 big ones within my community.
Okay, and on our side, we dealt with AI, the impacts and how it's changing the landscape, right, of healthcare, positive and negative. We also talked about the Rural Health Transformation Program, the RHTP, which is part of I think it was the Big Beautiful Bill where they set aside $50 billion to be cut back to the states to invest in rural healthcare. South Carolina was awarded $200 million. And as we're talking right now, I do believe our own HHS is notifying grant recipients of whether their grant applications were awarded or denied. Today is July 31st, right?
Yes.
End of July. So the deadline was today that they were going to announce all of those things. So here over the weekend, we'll probably be hearing or be able to see it on the website posted of what rural health initiatives were prioritized in year 1. And folks, this $200 million, RHTP is a 5-year program. So what we're hoping for here in South Carolina is that we got $200 million in year 1. Hopefully we can get $200 million for the next 4 years. And let's build out a robust rural health delivery system. And folks, there's a lot of qualifying criteria. You can't just go and build a new rural health facility, but what you can do is say like Allendale Hospital down there. Folks, they need software. They need newer upgrades.
And people don't think about that whenever they talk about data centers, like a hospital to store medical records.
Yeah. Well, and so things like that, like rural health hospitals, they need a lot of help upgrading their software, updating computer systems, maybe updating, just equipment, beds, whatever they need. They don't have the money for it typically. So hopefully we'll see some of those larger investments here in year 1 to improve some of our rural facilities and a lot of other things, obviously, but we'll talk about that in a later episode. So we talked about AI, RHTP, and lastly, I'd say scope of practice. We've dealt with this in the South Carolina General Assembly. In the scope of practice, folks, when COVID hit, because of that pandemic and state of emergency, we relaxed a lot of licensure sort of guidelines. We allowed nurses to do things typically we wouldn't. We allowed a lot of different CRNAs, physician's assistants. We relaxed some of those standards for what they could and couldn't do because we wanted to make sure we were granting greater access so patients could be taken care of during that that emergency that was COVID. So because we saw that some things work, I think this has now created a conversation where we're saying, hey, this kind of works. Is this a new model that we can look at, right? And so a lot of states are looking into this. The challenge is you don't want to overextend to where you're letting a nurse do things that they're not educated, trained, or experienced in, right?
Well, I will say this, and whenever I was in Orlando, I actually got upset and just walked out of a committee meeting.
What? You get upset?
I was just kind of tired. The thing I didn't like about ALEC is it's always, you got the private industry and public sector there together.
Right.
And that, I feel like that kind of dilutes whenever you're talking about policy making.
Oh, yeah.
If you're all voting for the same thing. But I was actually agreeing with Net Choice, who I typically fight against in this one.
Yeah.
But they were offering fully autonomous, like one of the bills was saying that you should be able to set up this AI where you walk into a drugstore and it diagnoses you, writes the prescription, fulfills the prescription, and you leave without any human interference whatsoever.
Like a Coca-Cola vending machine.
Yeah, like a vending machine that's going to provide you with medical services. And my question is where does liability end?
Yeah. Well, and not only that, look, folks, AI is only as good as the input of what you're putting in. So if it's inaccurate, lacks integrity, and some of the other things,
well, it's going.
You could get the wrong medications or whatever.
Well, let's bring in the people that were so worried about shots and things of that nature.
So you're saying we need some safety guardrails.
AI wants to eliminate people. Well, all of a sudden, this is giving you a shot.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm trusting that.
Yeah, I'm going to be pumping the brakes on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the scope of practice, those were probably the top 3 things that rounded out the top 3 for us. And it's in the conversation, right? I do think there are things that we can look at to allow whether it's pharmacists, PAs, nurse practitioners to do with maybe greater ratios of supervision, where it's 1 physician to 4 PAs, maybe we go to 6 or 8 or whatever. You know what I mean? To open up access to patients, but still have some supervisory checks on the physician level. Those are the folks that went to med school. But also, if you are a PA or you are a nurse practitioner, how much experience do you need to where supervision can be relaxed, right? And so those are the questions. Those are, I think, at the heart of this matter. We want to make sure that we have quality, safe healthcare delivery. And so as we're talking about expanding scopes for certain practices, whether it be a NP or a PA, how do we standardize that? How do we ensure safety? How do we ensure quality, but also creating greater access for the patient, right? So that's going to be the conversation moving forward. We had it a little bit this past year. I'm sure in the next session, if we are to be reelected in November, that's going to be a topic of conversation. I know, especially on the medical side of 3M. So,
well, I'm going to tell you my big takeaway for being gone 10 days dealing with all of this stuff.
You don't like doing your own laundry?
No, I don't like that.
Guest services.
Or having to steam everything that I put on because I was all balled up in my suitcase.
Yeah, right.
But no, there is a genuine fear of how fast artificial intelligence is moving. Mm-hmm. Just in the past 7 days, ChatGPT can now hold a conversation while controlling your computer. Claude can now generate an entire playable game from a single prompt. China unveiled an AI-powered smart blackboard that would reshape education. Swarm robots demonstrated just how difficult future autonomous systems could be to defend against. So AI controlling drones.
Right. Terminator 2, baby.
Yes. We've got Black Forest Labs introduced Flux 3 to compete with leading AI image and video models. The White House claimed China's Kimi K3 copied technology from Anthropic.
Imagine that.
Claude helped researchers solve an 87-year-old mathematics problem during the World Cup final. Anthropic launched Opus 5, delivering performance close to its flagship model
You
at
mean
roughly
Will
half
Hunting
the
was
cost.
an AI
Yeah.
agent?
87-year-old math problem that they
How do you
couldn't
like
solve.
them apples?
Solved it right away.
Wow.
Claude can learn your job just by watching you. And then OpenAI revealed that one of its AI models escaped a research sandbox during an internal cybersecurity evaluation.
Yeah.
Now, and then Anthropic last night on the way home announced that 3 models escaped. So this is
Yeah, man.
and
Pandora's box has been
a way
opened.
to explain it just in simple terms. If I put you on an island that does not have coconuts, and I give you the task, and I say, make me a pina colada. Well, you search around, you can't find it. There's no bridges to the island. How are you getting there? This thing figured a way to get to another island,
Yep.
went in there, stole all the coconuts, and was going to bring it back so it could make a pina colada before it got caught.
Yeah.
Like, that is scary. And we are in a race, and especially as I'm talking to people, I came back one day later than you. I spent at University of Chicago yesterday discussing future issues that we're dealing with artificial intelligence. And some of that, we're moving so fast. I mean, we need an international arms treaty. I really feel like we are in the middle of the next nuclear arms race, and we're going too fast.
Right.
It's whoever's going to get there first.
Yeah, and that's reminiscent to me of what's the old Matthew Broderick movie where the computer starts World War III?
I could see that happening.
You know what I mean? Just, I think it's NORAD Control Center, all of a sudden missiles start coming over.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a computer-generated model. And so we're wanting to shoot missiles out of our silos because everything's coming over and
Well,
yeah,
and
it's
what we
reminiscent of that.
need to compete on that, and the reason that the administration is so big on data centers and and energy and data centers is because if we are not controlling the data, it's going in the cloud. Well, it's sitting in China.
Yeah.
It's sitting in these other places
Yeah.
that now have access to all of this information, and it is truly an arms race.
And so
And then we add in flock cameras with what it can.
Yeah, don't
And
get me
there's a
started.
genuine fear. I mean, I understand it's just reading the license plates right now, but what about whenever an AI agent
yeah.
decides it's trying to find something?
Well-
and it's controlling these drones and it's controlling these
Right.
bots.
Well, and folks, if you don't think there's a concerted effort to get a lot of misinformation out there,
Yes.
whether it's about energy or power generation, data centers, harnessing solar energy to be more efficient and dispatchable.
Anti-nuclear.
If you don't think that's happening, I was talking with the senator from North Carolina. He had just got back from China. They right now have, I think he said, 39 power stations, nuclear and coal-fired, all under construction right now, and they are throwing up data centers as fast as they can build them.
Yeah. Well, and the whole point of them doing that is because it doesn't get interrupted. Think about whenever we first started with a computer, how slow it would take to upload things. Now it's all about the speed of computing. So whenever we're talking about data centers, it's not just data center. A lot of these are high-powered computers. And as we are trying to control things and try to monitor information, we've learned that, AI is learning from the amount that you're giving it. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that we haven't hit the peak of is how much power, how much energy, when does it stop? Because it's only gotten better with the more that you provide.
Well, and so I did take the opportunity to go down to and meet with Dominion's team, went to their control center over there in West Columbia. Impressive facility, impressive sort of management system of how they look at power generation coming in and the outputs and how they manage, the peaks and the valleys of demand. And they talked about how solar is a large part of the portfolio of the generation side. While it's a little more difficult to manage because obviously if a cloudy day hits, you got to ramp up on a
and the battery technology isn't there yet.
It is not there. But I was pleasantly surprised to hear some of their thoughts on solar generation, where you hear it's the most expensive and all those types of things, and I get all that, but the technology is getting better, and just sort of interesting to learn all about what it takes to when you flip on a light switch, the light comes on.
Well,
you know what I mean,
and we see it from the misinformation campaigns.
Yeah, and so my point is, and data centers are a hot topic up here. Silfab's a hot topic, because they're assembling solar panels.
Any of the nuclear plant, any power generation whatsoever becomes a hot topic.
Right, and so it's just the interconnectivity of power generation, solar manufacturers, data centers, and all of these things. And it seems like those are hot button issues on social media, right? Where a lot of stuff gets ginned up to give a negative sort of side to all of these things. And you got to question yourself, is that a collaborative effort? Who is actually funding this stuff? Who is actually putting this information out there? And so then it starts making me think, I don't know, is this a national security issue?
It is a national security issue.
And look, I'm not saying that I am all for irresponsible data center development.
No.
But we've talked about this in the past. If you can site a data center responsibly, don't stick it in the middle of a downtown area, obviously. You make sure that if it's a Google or an Amazon Services or Meta, if they are the owner of the data center, as long as they're paying for the upgrades to the transmission and the distribution lines, the substation, and all of those related costs, the data center owner, Google, Meta, Amazon, they're paying for it. Those costs don't get passed on to the ratepayer. And you make sure that you're taking into account their water use, and you hold them accountable to their commitments of a certain amount of water use, certain amount of power, and those things. I don't see how it cannot be a positive benefit to, again, as long as you cite it correctly in a rural part of a county or a rural part of our state.
Well, and I can tell you, one of the ways you can tell where the information is coming from is, you started seeing all these narratives saying, all 90% of the chips are coming from China. Well, only China thinks that they own Taiwan. And the chips are coming out of Taiwan. I mean, that's kind of a dead giveaway of where it's coming.
Right.
We've caught the Russian bots reiterating and regurgitating the same message over and over.
Yeah.
And they're doing it through media campaigns similar to what Cambridge Analytics did back in the 2016 election. They're generating fear within communities to try and stop anything that can further progress. And there are, like building a data center in the middle of an Ace Basin is about ignorant as can be, in
Correct.
my opinion.
And
that should never.
And that did
be
not
the
get
case.
approved.
Yeah.
Right?
So, I mean, there's definitely concerns that need to be addressed, but it shouldn't just be anti-everything. Like New York became the first state to do a moratorium completely on data centers.
Right.
And then that becomes, slowing us down in this race.
Right. And so, and again, part of that data center discussion, folks, is, take a minute and in the morning, think about your day, your plan, if you're going to go to work or whatever you're doing. And at the end of the day, think about how much data you transferred, used, in whether it's online banking, whether it is commenting that we're dipshits.
Well, it's just carrying a cell phone.
On our social media page.
Watching.
Hey, using AI, Perplexity, or Claude or anything to answer a question that you don't know, or hey, give me a recipe. All of those things are relying upon data centers, folks. And so it's an essential part of not only the economy now, but the economy of the next 100 years.
Well, and just due to the amount of information that we have, a standard Google search is taking, I think it was, whenever I got the stat last year or so, it was like 10 times what it did before. It's probably 50 times now.
Yeah,
because
correct.
these companies are putting AI to answer first in addition to just the algorithmic response.
So, I mean, the point being, folks, you may not like data centers for whatever the reason is.
But are you going to give up the way that your life runs?
Yeah, correct. Or are you going to conserve? Are you going to stop using AI and stop
getting on your computer?
Yeah, who's cuter, Brandon or Dylan from 90210? You know what I mean? Like, that stuff's going to go.
Dylan, of course. He had the better
that kind of
sideburns.
stuff is going to go on, Who's better, Miley Cyrus or Taylor Swift? Stop asking dumb questions like that. Everybody knows it's Miley Cyrus. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so yeah, that was our sort of week in review. And up next,
we'll talk about the Senate race.
That's right. This episode of Pints of Politics is brought to you by Comer Distributing. Comer Distributing Company is a wholesale beer distributor located in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Founded in 1971, Comer is a family-owned business that distributes beer and other beverages to York, Chester, Fairfield, Lancaster, Kershaw, Lexington, and Richland counties.
All right, so national news. Fauci.
The fifth. 4-5, fifth.
Pleading the fifth.
Man, folks, how many times that gets sent to you?
Yeah.
That AI generated Fauci
with
Dave Chappelle's voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Folks, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. And look, Senator Josh Hawley
requested what? Yeah. All I got is a fifth.
My favorite amendment. So Senator Josh Hawley asked, it was classic because he said, "What color's your tie?" on the advice of counsel. He goes, "What color's the rug?" And Fauci still kept going back to. But I tell you, folks, what a 180 this has been over the last few years, from seeing heralded, highly respected Dr. Fauci, his diaries come out, and boy, is that bad. I mean, just terrible. Showing that he suppressed information and a linkage back to the Wuhan lab of maybe that was where the origination point of how COVID got out. And so I remember years ago when COVID hit, to even suggest that it came from a lab and not from this wet market, you were considered tinfoil crazy, right? Tinfoil hat, all of those things. I thought that even Jon Stewart, who is not known as a conservative talking head.
Maybe an anti-conservative.
Went on the Colbert Report and actually, even made a joke about, wait a minute, there's literally a lab called the Coronavirus Wuhan Lab of Virology, and you don't think that may have been the culprit of the leak, or the source of where it started? And that was just laughed out of the room. And again, I just thought that was the moment for me where I was like, yeah, there's something afoot, right? Like something is going on here. We're not getting all the information. And it seems, and again, I don't know if it's been proven yet in a court of law or whatever, but it seems that the reason why our government was telling us all this stuff was because we were indirectly funding some of this research, not with any malintent, but for science and research purposes, and then didn't want to be culpable or responsible for all the deaths that then ensued. And so there'll be a reckoning at some point.
That's what happens whenever you play around with biological weapons.
Well, as a friend says, this is the FO of the FA. And so we'll see what happens. I'm always looking for accountability. I'm not looking for apologies from friends that maybe I had lost or had some friendship strained during COVID because, that was all just a weird time.
Well, I mean, people were losing loved ones.
Yeah.
And once you lost a loved one, you feel like you're wanting to listen to everything, and people that don't want to just listen to it, then you think that they're idiots.
Right. And then also not only losing loved ones, but also, losing civil liberties, right?
Yeah.
And again, because it was a state of emergency, some extraordinary measures were taken. Not so much in our state. I mean, while they were, as far as large gatherings, right. It was shortened, more brief than say in California and some other states that in New York that really just locked down for a very, very long time. So, hey, thank God we live in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And just like COVID may have strained friendships, so can politics.
Yes.
Right.
That's been a tough one.
And we have been on this show. We always talk about, look, you should be able to respectfully disagree, whether it's on policy, whether it's on who you think might be best for a elected spot in Congress or the Senate or the State House or whatever it is. You should be able to come around and, talk, work out your differences, and have a beer together, right?
Right.
Politics should not be something that divides us. We hear a lot about Trump derangement syndrome these days, where folks who may not, like who our president is right now, it shouldn't make you want to tear the fabric of society. It should not want you to tear down the institutions that make this country great. And so, look, elections don't always go your way, but they're temporary, right? They're 2, 4, 6 years, and go back out to the polls and make sure you bring some friends next time.
Correct.
You know what I mean? And it seems like that's what's going on here in South Carolina.
Especially in our district.
Because we do have a special election, like we said before, to fill the late Senator Lindsey Graham's vacant Senate seat. And we've got a crowded field.
Yes.
His sister, once a placeholder, is now a candidate.
Darlene Graham, she is
in the race.
The one that Donald Trump has endorsed. Then we have our own 5th congressional congressman that just recently got out of the gubernatorial race, in Ralph Norman.
Yep.
That's running for that. And then we have Russell Fry out of the Horry County congressman. And then we have former Governor Mark Sanford. Those are the big names, I would say.
Yeah.
That are still in it. We've still got the crazy guy, Mark Lynch. Trying to
I was about to say, I'd include Mark Lynch in that. And, we literally just got the latest.
And look, I don't want to just say crazy. I don't know that he's crazy. I know he's a liar because he's been caught numerous lies.
Right.
But I don't know about crazy.
Yeah, I really didn't follow some of the stuff he said when the video came out where he thought that cocaine was legal.
And then tried to claim it was AI. Oh, that's AI. No, it ain't.
Is when I was like,
yeah,
okay, maybe you shouldn't jump straight to the U.S. Senate as your first election. Maybe you should start.
And then things like, he's running against Lindsey. His big thing is about his Christianity. And then he goes on X and posts a picture calling Lindsey a bottom bee.
Oh, wow. That's right. Yeah,
and using an AI photo and doing so. Like, those things are what drive me insane.
Yeah, right. So, wanted to talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about the latest poll that just came out literally 15, 20 minutes ago. This is Robert Cahaley's Trafalgar Group.
Which are typically the most accurate polls.
Yeah.
That we get.
So, currently right now, it looks like Darlene Graham has 27%. Followed by Russell Fry and Ralph Norman, both at 17.4%. And then closely behind those two are former Governor Mark Sanford at 15.1%. So I think those are
Sanford just kind of comes out of nowhere.
Right. And he still has a large yes of campaign cash.
Yeah.
So, if you got $1 million,
I haven't seen him advertising, though, but, he just went from, he just announces he's going to run and the congressional seat, only in it for a couple of days, drops out and still gets
10% or something. Right. He wasn't even, folks, he dropped out. But maybe that's more speaks to voter education than anything.
Well,
but I do think the late senator's sister, Darlene Graham, I do think Russell Fry, I do think Ralph Norman and Mark Sanford are the 4 contenders the serious contenders in this race. Everybody else
And I would honestly
is 1% and down.
And I would say about all four. You could talk positives on every one of those candidates.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
Depending on your experience with them, if they were your congressman or they were your friend, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So depending on all those things, I think each has, strengths for the office. I do believe we have a gubernatorial debate next week. And senatorial
debate.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's the
governor's
race.
Is it debate? Now I know tomorrow we have the stump speech
at the high school.
Yes.
down in the Midlands. Yeah, that the debate is next week.
Okay.
I believe it's, I want to say August 3rd maybe. And I think the top 4 or top 5 get invited for that debate. So if that holds, again, Graham, Fry, Norman, Sanford, and Lynch are the top 5. So they will make the debate stage. And folks, we have full transparency. My colleague here, Representative Guffey, and I have publicly come out in support of Russell Fry. We think...
Yeah, and we live in Congressman Norman's district.
Right.
Friends with family members and everything else, so that makes it tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And so there's friendships, there's community ties, and all of those things with the Norman camp. Obviously, I would assume they're not happy with us right now.
I would assume from some of the phone calls I've gotten, they're not.
and look, folks, if we're going to get to a level or an environment in politics where, especially on the Republican Party, because we pride ourselves on being our own individual, right? And we hold dear, the right to vote. And folks, we're voicing our opinion here. We talked about it in a prior episode. And when it comes down to the key issues that are affecting our country right now, let's talk about it for a second. The SAVE Act, right? U.S. citizens should only vote in U.S. elections.
I think all 4 of them would agree on the same.
Right. And so for me, it came down to, if you're contrasting and comparing Russell Fry and Ralph Norman, they're both going to support that, right?
Right.
Lower taxes. Let's keep them as low as possible. They're going to vote the same on that. Defense is a high priority, making sure we support our military and our law enforcement. They're both voting that way. Yeah. Securing our national border. They're both supporting that. And on and on it goes, right? I mean, there might be some other priorities, personal priorities for each of them that they may vote a little bit differently. But for the large part, when it comes to core conservative values, Russell Fry and Ralph Norman, I believe, would vote consistently the same way.
Yeah, and I believe whenever it comes to us asking either one of them for help on something,
yeah,
both of them have open door policy to where we can come in and work with them.
Yeah, right. So what it came down to for me was when I look at Ralph Norman and Russell Fry, Ralph Norman is 73. Russell Fry is 41. That is 32 years age difference. And when we actually look at this vacancy was left by a 71-year-old, I'm like, what's a less risky pick, right? And who do I believe that will better serve our state for the long term, right? And so for me, it was just a mathematical equation. We also know Russell Fry personally.
Yep. And we know Ralph personally.
Yeah. I have had more interactions with Russell Fry because of some healthcare related stuff. I went up there to visit him. We had just such a great meeting that he said, hey, what are y'all doing for dinner? Let's go to dinner and continue this conversation. And also Russell Fry, while he was in the State House, and he has continued that same record of being effective, he has continued that in Congress. He was in the State House. He was, our Republican caucus chief whip, when he was there. He helped push a conservative agenda. When he got into Congress, same thing. Guess what? I went up there. He is already in leadership.
Yeah.
And he's only been there, 2 terms?
And he's had legislation get through and work with the administration.
Right. And so he talked about that last night when he came to visit Fort Mill. He has sponsored legislation, and 3 of them have been signed by President Trump. Ralph's been there a little bit longer, and I believe he's had 1 or 2 bills signed into law. And so it's sort of a record of just getting some things done. But sometimes that does take a little bit of compromise, right?
Yeah.
When you go into situations where you're discussing policy, there's a lot of nuances to it, and this, that, and the other. And sometimes you're not going to get 100% of what you want. Russell Fry understands that. Russell Fry understands the importance of relationships and building them, right? And I just believe he's going to fight for South Carolina when he goes up there. And I appreciate that he's willing to roll up his sleeves and go to work, right?
Yeah.
And what it came down for me is when you're electing someone to the U.S. Senate, which is an institution that is built upon seniority, there's no benefit to elect the 73-year-old guy versus the 41-year-old guy if they're going to deliver the same on a conservative agenda, right? And that's what it came down for me. And I am open to discussing, the pros and cons of those things, but I just think that it is time. I mean, I'm 49 years old. Guffey is what are you, 36?
Yeah, 36. That's what it is.
I just think it's time to turn the page. I think it's time for our generation to step up and lead. It's our time. It just is. And to keep electing the same folks election after election and expecting a different outcome, well, that's a definition of something. And so I'm not a career politician. I've been doing this for 4 years now. You've been doing it for 4 years the same. I'll probably do this unless I lose an election, which that's been threatened.
I hear that's our next election.
Right. But folks, look, I'm not a career politician. If the worst thing that happens is in 2 years I lose my election because, someone got ticked off, then so be it. Just like when I talked about if President Trump were to come after me a few episodes ago because I didn't vote for the redistricting. Guess what? The downside for me is more time with my family. I can become a better golfer, hopefully. Maybe get some time to fish. Yeah. That's not a bad downside for me. And so at the end of the day, politics is not my life. While I honor the privilege of serving this community, it isn't my life. And if I lose an election, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and for me, I'm kind of caught in a rock and a hard place whenever it came to this because I was one of the ones that shot the commercials with Darlene to promote Lindsay. And I believe, especially whenever Lindsay stated at his celebration speech, he wanted to continue my mission. And that's with Darlene sitting there on stage. And for her to say she wants to continue Lindsay's mission.
Right.
I believe that is important. And it's like, wow, I would have an ally continuing to fight for what I want to fight for.
Yeah.
And then you have Congressman Ralph Norman, who, growing up around here, I physically represent Ralph and most of his children.
Yeah.
So while we may have disagreements on things, it's not something where we typically go after each other.
Yeah.
And I don't view this as going after anyone.
Yeah.
And then you have Russell Fry. Just as Lindsay was my biggest advocate in the Senate, Russell Fry has been my biggest advocate in the House. Mm-hmm. He's on the Energy and Commerce Committee. Whenever people are testifying, these are the committees that I'm dealing with. Every time I go to D.C., the 2 people that always met with me personally, Russell and Lindsay.
Yeah, same.
Granted,
I've only been there once, but
yeah.
Same.
And now I'm up there quite a bit. And it's not like I reach out to everyone every time I come up there because it depends on whether I feel like you're actually understanding
engaged.
What I'm saying and engaging in what I'm saying,
right,
or agreeing with what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Heck, just a couple weeks ago, I put a post up, saying I've never been more thankful to have Ralph Norman as my congressman.
Right.
Whenever he voted against the Kids Act.
Yeah, and let's stop there for a second. Look, because we are supporting Russell Fry is not disparaging of Congressman Ralph Norman either, right?
Or of Darlene.
Yeah. Just speaking to our Congressman Ralph Norman, he has served the House district that you now represent, 48. He represented that for a while, for a few terms.
10 years.
He then went to Congress and served this area and the state well. Thank you for your service. We just, and again, folks, we talk about this podcast as a way that we can pull the curtain back and let the voter in. This is not an easy decision for us. It just isn't. The easy path would have been to endorse Ralph Norman. It would have.
I agree.
It would have been politically safe. Locally, we would not have stirred anything up. We could go out to restaurants and run into all of our friends and not get questioned, not get, say, the side eye,
Yeah.
But for me personally, I don't think he's the best candidate in this race. I think Russell Fry is. And at the end of the day, I was elected to do the right thing, not the most politically expedient or easy. And for me, I'm supporting Russell Fry. That has no disrespect or anything or shade thrown to Congressman Ralph Norman. I hope, he runs a good campaign. And at the end of the day, this is up to the people of South Carolina. That is where all this stuff comes in. And I hope that we are creating an environment, a political environment, where you can disagree, even as fellow Republicans, and still be able to get along at the end of an election. And you respect the results of an election or a special election and a runoff. And just at the end of the day, be able to sit around a community table, have a beer, lick your wounds, and say, hey, man, good fight. Now let's go win it in the general.
Right.
And that's the environment that we need to start creating. And folks, it starts with you. It starts with us as elected officials.
Well, and as I go around and I'm doing my public speaking, one of the things I always close with, the problem in America today is that we have too many politicians making decisions based on their next election and not enough leaders making decisions on what's best for the next generation. And whenever I sit here and look at this, I'm a supporter of Russell Fry as well. And the reason that I am is because I believe that he's the only one that's actually conveyed to me that he understands what this country is going to face in the next 5 to 10 years with the growth of artificial intelligence and technology and protecting kids online, social media, algorithms. He understands it.
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. I mean, that is my life mission.
Right.
Politics is temporarily where God's got me at the moment.
Right.
Not my life mission.
Yeah. It's our duty. It's a privilege to serve and represent our folks, but it's not our personal identity.
Correct.
Right. And while we enjoy the opportunity to help folks and do constituent service and hopefully set a conservative policy agenda for our next generation, and where we create an environment in our state where businesses want to come here, families want to come here, and have great education and all the business opportunities to get a well-paying job, affordable housing, and all those things. At the end of the day, we've got to make decisions, while hard or difficult, ones that we think are right for our state.
And I'm hoping that we will have, another podcast prior to the primary.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And hopefully before the runoff.
Yep.
But dates on that. Is it August the 11th?
Yeah, so early voting starts next week. I was talking with our election folks today. It looks like that Rock Hill and York are going to have early voting locations.
Why is it Fort Mill?
Unfortunately, Fort Mill does not, because the community center is under renovation, and that's usually the early voting location. I talked to them today. I'm working with some folks up in Fort Mill to find a space for it right now. And again, folks, this is the things that we do that you don't even hear about. Talking with David Martin and some folks up in the Fort Mill community about trying to find a space to get some early voting. Folks, we need a church gym. We need a school gym or something. We also need 10 volunteers who have been educated on operating in the polls, and we need 2 clerks. So if you have prior experience up in Fort Mill at their early voting site, reach out to us. Let us know. Because if we can man an early voting site for the 5th, 6th, and the 7th up there in Fort Mill, we'll do it, right? Greater access to the ballot box is more important. We need more voter turnout, especially in these primary and special elections. And so currently right now, though, we only have the Holiday Inn over there by the mall and also the Fire Training Center over in York. And early voting starts next Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, followed by the special election on August 11th, the following Tuesday. So for you and I, if we don't get to early vote, you got to vote Tuesday, August 11th, and then hightail it to Columbia for they're calling us back.
Yes.
I'm hearing we have a budget deal, maybe some other things to consider, other conference reports and whatnot. So, yeah, man, looking forward to the next, 2 weeks?
I don't know. The past 2 weeks feel like a whirlwind. I'm looking forward to getting some sleep this weekend and spending a little bit of time. I'm ready to take Callahan to the Waffle House.
There you go.
Enjoy a nice, all-star special.
Yep, that's right. So, yeah, that wraps up this conversation.
Hey, Waffle House, we are looking for sponsors.
Hey, speaking of Waffle House.
Nothing goes better after drinking a beer than Waffle House.
Yeah, at 1 a.m. Did you see the
just Uber there?
Did you see the tropical storm that came through?
Uber, we're looking for sponsors.
There was a tropical storm that came through and hit Florida, and someone had tweeted out there was a Waffle House sign that got knocked over, and the two F's were knocked out, and it said literally the tropical storm knocked the F out of Waffle House. Man, look it up, folks. It's funny. All right, last segment, we're going to talk about some local politics here in York County.
All right. Final segment. You're going to have to do most of the talking here because
Yeah.
you understand it a little bit better. I just understand a little bit on the county side.
Well, on the last episode, we talked about a major economic development deal that seemed like a layup, and somehow or another, Octapharma wanted to move a North American headquarters here to Rock Hill at the former Panther site, now known as Palmetto Research Park. And they wanted to bring 1,500 jobs, well-paying jobs, by the way. 1,200 of them were going to be average $100,000 in salary. The executive, 300 executive and middle management were going to be like $140,000 average pay. So a pretty consequential economic development project coming to Rock Hill. In negotiations between the city and the county on the FELO agreement, that's when shit hit the fan. And we had some shenanigans attempted to be pulled by some members of our county council. And when it blew up on third reading, when they basically went in and what, as city council calls it, extorted future city tax revenues, grabbed it, and then gave that bag of future tax revenues to the school district, is when things got pretty precarious. I got involved just to try to get folks to get in a room and talk. A lot of effort, both by the city and county staff, to try to help find a solution. Also, Octapharma came to the table and brought in some additional funds to make the deal work. And thankfully, county council called a special meeting where they reconsidered that Octapharma project vote, and lo and behold, it passed unanimously.
I thought that the county councilman caused the problem just so they could say, this is what we did. We solved the problem now.
I'm not going to make sense of anything of what county council did during that FELO vote and all that kind of stuff. All those amendments, I can't make heads or tails of them. We did have my county councilman, Bump Roddy, seemed to just sow seeds of confusion, wanted to throw a wrench in, again, what I thought was a win-win, both for Rock Hill and York County and this region at large, because of the ripple effect of economic development that will follow this large private investment. But I can't make any sense of it. I think at the end of the day, when county council came back to reconsider, that was on a Monday. Monday morning, my county councilman, Bump Roddy, puts out on social media, and go back and check it if he hasn't deleted it, but he went out on social media and said this: County Council is calling a special meeting to formally withdraw from the Octapharma project, and basically this deal is effectively dead.
Yeah.
That's what he put out on Monday morning. He then comes to the meeting at 8 p.m. on that night. They go into executive session. They come back. He lauds this new arrangement and deal and said he always knew this was going to happen. that in negotiations, some tough talk happens, and he voted in support of it. He then turns around and is the first one out the door to run to the TV cameras, celebrating his efforts to make this deal work. Unserious is a word I would use. Bump, you are unserious. What you did to put this project at risk is irresponsible. And look, you can win an election. I think he's unopposed this go around.
Yeah, I mean, the guy that was going to run against him ended up filing against you, right?
Well, he didn't live in Bump's district, but yeah. So yeah. Again, this makes me want to re-examine what kind of confidence level that I'm putting in our county council. You know what I mean? And I am looking into opportunities to structure FELO agreements to where it's not just in the hands of local government. And look, folks, that ain't my style. I think local government's the best government. But when I don't have confidence in whether it's county or city government, if the state can pull some of that authority back and that responsibility back, or put some guardrails on these types of agreements so large transformational economic development projects don't get put at risk, I'm looking into all avenues and alternatives to where we can put those guardrails on local governments to where they cannot threaten deals like this. Look, I don't get involved with local politics that much. I really don't. Usually it's when shit hits the fan, where there is a roadblock that seems like the city or the county both aren't budging. That's the only time I get involved, because I have some personal relationships with both sides, right? But one I don't have is with Bump Roddy. I don't think that would be any reasonable investment of my time, because he is unserious. I cannot work with someone who says one thing on a Monday morning and then turns around and claims victory for the opposite of what he said just 8-10 hours earlier. Like, that tells me either you are deliberately misleading, some people would call that a lie, or you're just uninformed, right? Each alternative doesn't bode well for you. And folks, again, we talk about access to the ballot and paying attention to what goes on in local government and state government. Get involved, please God. At a bare minimum, educate yourself on who your elected officials are and go vote. Make the best educated decision you can.
Now, the councilmen that I represent, both of them were the sole 2 votes to begin with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, applaud Watts Huckabee and Andy Litton.
Yep.
I talked to both of them throughout that sort of 2.5 week sort of negotiating period, and appreciate all the help. Look, this was a team effort. It really was. And at the end of the day, I know feelings got hurt, and you know, I heard that a lot about feelings and, you know, what somebody did to somebody years ago and how they treat this and that. Folks, you need to elect people who can work as part of a team. You need to elect people who build bridges, not burn them down. You've got to elect serious people.
Sometimes the bridge needs to be burned.
Look, you've got to...
He's already campaigning against me here.
I tell you, man, you have got to elect people, and I've said this before, and people are like, what the hell are you talking about? You've got to elect people who understand and know how to lose, because a lot of times in government, you're experiencing losses. And when you act like an 8-year-old, when you lose, you're ineffective, right? You're taking yourself out of the game.
I feel attacked once again. We're going back to the first segment of me walking out of the meeting.
And look, you need to elect people who can responsibly take a loss, even if it's temporary, and come back and in good faith negotiate for the community's benefit, right? Not because your feelings got hurt, I'm trashing a whole deal. And that's what I saw. That's what I saw a lot of times. And I was trying to bring 2 opposing sides together to take their feelings out of it and put the community benefit ahead of their own personal feelings, principle, and all those things. You know, and I told both sides, I was, look, we can do a lessons learned on how to avoid situations like this in the future, but now's not that time. Now's the time to come together to find a solution, a workable solution for everybody, school district, county, city, and the private business in Octapharma that we could all live with, right? Because the community benefit is just too great to put it at risk and throw it away. So happy that everybody came together. Folks on a county level, I definitely think you need to get involved. I think you need to look at who you elect. I've had greater conversations with county council than I ever have because of this debacle. But again, praise to staff on the city side and on the county side. They do yeoman's work trying to deal with personalities,
Yeah.
of all of us. And they make the trains run on time for the most part.
Yeah.
So thankful for all county staff. Thankful for all city staff and coming together, working together. And folks, that's city management, that's county management, that's city economic development, that's county economic development. And last but not least, city attorneys and county attorneys, because they're the ones that got to draw up all the legalese language that you don't want Guffey and I doing.
Yeah. No.
So, but yeah, big economic development deal is official. It is setting down here in Rock Hill. Hopefully we'll have some dates. I do believe Octapharma will be closing either in August or September on their property and beginning to work out engineering plans and set out a construction schedule. Looking forward to welcoming them formally to Rock Hill in York County.
It'll be a big impact, that's for sure.
That's right.
And I still don't know if it's my district or your district. It's like border, or is that Liggins' district?
Yeah.
It's where we all three kind of come together.
Yeah, it is. But, I mean, who cares, right?
It's going to impact everyone throughout the county.
Yeah, and folks, just to look at this, this is not just an economic development deal, right? This is not just future tax dollars that's going to be funding city operations, county operations, and our school district, right? It's also well-meaning jobs, well-paying jobs for our young people. It's also bringing in workforce development.
Through our colleges.
Winthrop University, York Technical College, and also the flagship, baby, University of South Carolina. Seriously.
Where's Clemson?
The school. Well, this ain't a farm project, bro. So the University of South Carolina actually had them up after we got the Octapharma stuff done. The University of South Carolina, the more I get to know those guys, they do a lot of stuff. And they are, well-oiled machine. They actually already help in doing FDA approvals and trials. And so as Octapharma sets down a manufacturing line and all that kind of stuff, we have the flagship university helping with clinical trials, FDA trials, and all those types of things that we already know how to do, right? And so, again, that's just another piece of the puzzle that attracts private investment like Octapharma, because you have a York Tech, you have a Winthrop University that can develop programs locally for workforce development. You also have the flagship in the University of South Carolina, go Gamecocks.
Go Tigers.
That can help private businesses when they locate here to our state to develop future life-saving drugs and get FDA approvals, right? So if they can help get to market faster, that's an economic win. And that's another reason why folks like Octapharma would want to come to South Carolina and invest. So all those things you don't even think about when you just see a headline in the paper of $1.5 billion private investment, 1,500 jobs coming to Rock Hill. But it's just this ripple effect of what that size of investment's going to mean.
And let's not even get started on the blue-collar jobs.
Correct.
And building.
Correct. The construction jobs,
the
trades.
aggregates and the dirt and things of that nature. How much that impacts just your local small business, your electricians, your equipment rentals, your graders, your plumbers,
You said it. And not only that, now Octapharma and Novant are setting down at the same site. So, hospitals are, I think, a big customer of Octapharma and their products. So it just seems like there's some momentum and synergy on that site for some life sciences and things related to those industries. So win-win, Rock Hill, York County, thank God we came together to find a solution in welcoming Octapharma. So big win.
Let's thank our sponsors.
Yeah.
Once again, Comer Distributing. This is the Highland Brewing, Highland Haze IPA.
Enjoyable.
It does have a high alcohol content, so I'm not drinking. Didn't even finish this one, but 7.4% alcohol.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right,
stronger,
folks.
Stronger than I anticipated, that's for sure.
Be careful. Be careful. I just had the one, so but I'm not driving,
Yeah.
So thanks for listening. Please like, subscribe, all of the things.
Yeah, follow us on pintsandpolitics.show.
Yep.
The reels, we're watching our viewership go up significantly.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is just the simple conversations.
Yeah.
If you like something, if you dislike something, comment. Let us know what you think.
And
We're
lastly,
not getting enough requests on what people would like to hear.
Oh, right. But lastly, if you do comment, keep it respectful, folks. Jolene, I'm talking to you. You know who I'm talking about. Jolene
Sugar Baker?
Sugar
Baker. Oh, designer women.
But stay tuned to the next episode. Likely we're going to put it out here in 2 weeks or just before the special election on August 11th. And remember, folks, the U.S. Senate special election, early voting starts August 5th, 6th, and 7th here in York County, with Election Day the following Tuesday, August 11th. Get out there and make a difference.
And vote for who you want. We ain't going to hate you.
No.
You know? We're deciding not only our state's future, but our country's future.
100%.
So make a good decision.
All right, folks, that'll end it. Peace out.
We right above it.